Hey everyone, just a disclaimer, I'm not going to use last names or anything else that will directly identify people mentioned in this video. Please don't harass anyone involved. This video, and all research related to it, are for documentary purposes only. Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. In the earliest hours of the morning, a user on 4chan's X board made an interesting post. 1634 Coit Avenue Northeast, Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was once a thriving, cozy little diner, but it closed down shortly after the owner passed away. According to the original poster on 4chan, a strange couple in their 40s purchased it shortly thereafter with the intention of turning it into a coffee shop. They painted the exterior, put a lamp in the middle of the building, taped garbage bags over the windows, and that's how it sat until present day. The original poster, or OP, claimed that the unusual phenomena started in 2015. They would often see a fleet of black SUVs pull into the lot. A group of adults would then escort multiple children into the building and leave without the children afterward. On the night of the 19th, they had been walking their dog past the building when they saw a child pull down one of the garbage bags on the window and pound on the glass to get their attention. The OP tried to take a photo, but the child was pulled away before they could take it. They loitered for a few more minutes, but saw nothing, so they called the police. The police apparently showed up, looked around the premises and flashed their lights into the building, and left after not seeing anything. This was the photo that 4chan user took. Responses to the post were varied. Some brushed it off, a few poked fun at the OP, and others called for more investigation. The topic of child trafficking quickly came up, and posters were suspicious of the allegedly lax police response. Further in the discussion, we see a photo of a timestamp to prove that it wasn't just a random photo grabbed off the internet. Despite that, many were still skeptical. After all, a timestamp proved absolutely nothing besides the OP being at the location and having taken the photo themselves. The children and the black SUVs were nowhere to be seen. One user said that none of it added up. There's no logical reason why a malicious operation would set up here. It was a tiny building in a crowded suburb, right next to a church and 1 block away from a school, with no fencing or cover to offer them privacy. The majority opinion seemed to be that the OP was making it up, while a vocal minority asserted that it was worth looking into. For the most part, it was standard internet back and forth, but one user brought up something worth mentioning. Does nobody notice there is someone standing behind the door in the first picture? A leg or something is silhouetted against the light in the gap at the bottom of the garbage bag and the door frame. It is not there in the timestamp picture. Both photos are pretty blurry, but I do see what they mean. Right here at the bottom of the door, there's a speck of some sort that's there in the first photo and missing from the second. Whether it's actually a leg or not is up in the air. We can't really tell what it is, but it's definitely possible given where it is. Eventually, another 4channer made the 45-minute drive from their location to the diner where they took these photos. They planned to look around inside, and many asked for updates, but that second 4channer didn't post again. Later on, a third person pulled up to the building. This one promised to live stream their investigation. First, they sent a photo proving they were at the abandoned diner. Then, they began the stream. It really didn't give us much to work with. They look inside where one light is on, and then walk off to the side. Something seems to spook them and the stream ends. Checking here on Google Earth, there's a shed on this side of the property. It's possible someone was hiding in the shed, maybe a vagrant who just wanted to spend the night. But what caught my attention and the attention of users on 4chan are the marks on the windows in the stream. Many claimed that they resembled handprints pressed against the glass. I can definitely make out a pattern that very closely resembles fingers on the left, but the right one is a bit more ambiguous. Looking at the height of the marks, they seem pretty high up. The OP said the child was about 10 or 11 years old. The average height of a 10-year-old boy in the US is about 4 foot 5 inches, or 1.37 meters. 10-year-old girls are even shorter. Look at that sign on the glass there. If we look from another angle, we see that sign is already pretty high up, but the prints are even higher. I'm not saying a child couldn't have made those marks, but they'd have to be stretching their arms way up to reach the spot. But why would they do that? We also can't tell for sure if the marks were made from the inside or the outside. It could have easily been someone pressing their hands against the glass to get a closer look, or to intentionally add another layer to the mystery. And for what it's worth, a post on r/Grand Rapids claims that the restaurant has a basement underneath it. Finally, a second person went to the diner and streamed their experience. I couldn't find the video of the stream, but I did find a still from it taken from inside. We see a bunch of trash bags, a white tarp, and scattered furniture. Nothing out of the ordinary for a renovation project. I wish I could have watched the second stream, but maybe it's out there somewhere. Expect an update video if I ever do come across it. Anyway, curious 4chaners did some further digging and found out that a company called Humanix LLC owned the property. Humanix was labeled as a business service, NEC, or not elsewhere classified. A category that includes niche businesses operating on a commission or fee basis, such as brokers or repo services. It was listed as having a staff of 2 people, and its headquarters address was a small, unassuming house in the same city. A few people pointed out that it sounded like a portmanteau of human and traffics. Admittedly, that's a pretty suspicious coincidence. But that's it. Just a coincidence. I couldn't find out anything else about the company, so they're innocent until proven guilty. There's a man who is repeatedly associated with Humanix LLC on the different sites I've looked it up on. Allegedly, he was 58 years old in 2019, which meant that he would have been in his mid-50s in 2014, around the time when the OP claimed a couple in their 40s bought the diner. Obviously, we're not always spot on when we guess people's ages, so they could have easily mistaken a man in his 50s for being a man in his 40s. I'm not going to mention that man's name, but I looked him up on LinkedIn, and Humanix is not mentioned anywhere in his work history, nor is he based in Grand Rapids, Michigan anymore. And this is pretty much where the story ends. Today, in 2024, the address is home to a restaurant called Rika's Chicken, which quite honestly looks really delicious, judging from their menu. I found an article saying that it opened in September 2023, with the project having been underway for the last 9 months. The business moved over from a different state, so we can say with confidence that the owners today have nothing to do with the owners from about 10 years before. I did some digging for what was definitely fact in this mystery. The address used to be home to a diner called Isaac's Restaurant, which opened in 1996. Before then, it was an ice cream shop called Miller's. Isaac passed away in 2008. His family kept the restaurant running until at least July 2011, when the last review I could find on it was written. In 2013, they sold it to Humanix LLC, and then in 2019, it was sold to Moyer Development LLC, a rental company. I looked at the address of that house affiliated with Humanix. It was sold in January 2016 to the associated man I mentioned earlier, and a woman with the same last name as him. There was a second property listed with Humanix, but they sold it also in 2016. Humanix is listed as having 2 employees and was based out of a regular house on 2 separate instances. I think it's pretty clear what's going on. They had a side hustle. The business address, which you're obligated to provide for taxes, happened to be the address that they were living at for those years. That's why one was sold and the other was registered in the same year. While looking, I also found claims that the whole mystery, the 4chan thread, everyone who physically went to the location, and the Reddit threads that came after, was part of a marketing campaign for a film. I couldn't find anything backing that up, so it's probably just speculation. Though that does open up the possibility of their side business being film location rental, like what you see on Peerspace. At the end of the day, I'm confident this is fake. Credit to those who made it, it's creative and fairly entertaining. It kickstarted my imagination and ran an ever so slight chill down my spine, so mission accomplished. There's something really fascinating and nostalgic about seeing abandoned buildings in highly populated areas, and it's apparent that quite a few people on the internet agree. There's one last thing I learned while researching this video, and it's that many people have fond memories of Isaac's restaurant and the food and service that came with it. I wish the best to Isaac's family. To Isaac, rest in peace. Did you like hearing about the mystery at an abandoned diner in Grand Rapids? Like and subscribe for more content on urban legends, mysteries, and the paranormal. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely night.